Okay, so one thing, my father, he actually played soccer, right? He got to the higher levels back in my home country, Congo, right? But nobody really cared. You don't get paid for it, so it's just a thing you did for fun. So although he did that, once I came to the states, um, you know, if you're from a third world country and you come to the states, the last thing your parents want you to worry about is, hey, go play sports. One thing they want you to be a doctor, engineer, a scientist, a nurse, things on those ends, right? Things that in our countries will give you a good life and a future for your family. So when we came here, my parents weren't too focused on sports, so they didn't put us in any sports. Maybe if we go to the park, my dad would do things with the soccer ball, but it wasn't really our like interest, right? We didn't grow up around it. Um, I mean, here and there, I would watch the World Cup, but we didn't really know soccer rules because we never played the sport. And it wasn't until I got to high school, I was around 16. Freshman year in high school, I didn't play soccer. I did do track. I pole vaulted. So I was a pole vaulter. So I did track and pole vaulting, and that was it. I did football in seventh grade, but I was getting migraines. So my parents took me out of it because they were like, yeah, we don't want you to die. So I'm okay with that. So during freshman year, we had a STAR test. So it's like in Texas, all the students have to take that tax test, whatever it may be. And one of the guys there, he's like, "Hey man, you're Jadabini, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I heard about you. You're really fast, right?" I'm like, "I mean, I guess." And then he's like, "You should come try for the soccer team." And I was like, I mean, so in my head, right, I was in PE at the time, and because track isn't all year in high school, you do PE, and then once track comes, you get into track. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll put soccer class. And they said if you don't make the team, you'll be put back to PE. So I was down. So, anyways, the first week of school of sophomore year, everybody's trying out, right? I'm just like laughing, enjoying myself, right? Because my friends invited me. And any pass that I did, everybody thought it was funny. And then on the last day, Thursday, right? Before we went to go leave, I took off my shirt, and then I noticed everybody was like staring at me, right? Even the coaches. And then I whispered to my friend Ivan. I was like, "Hey, bro, why is everybody like?" He's like, "I'm like, why is everybody looking at me?" He's like, "Man, because you're swole." I'm like, "Huh?" No, I'm not. I'm like literally like a 16-year-old kid. I'm like, there's absolutely no way I'm swole. So, anyways, I didn't think anything about it. I went home. I was like, yeah, I didn't make the team. Like, I was playing trash. Like, everybody was better than me. Next day comes, they went to go look at the soccer list, and then I was looking. No, no. First, when I got off the bus, right, one of my friends came. He's like, "Bro, you made the team." I was like, "No, yeah, stop capping. Like, you're lying. You're lying." He's like, "No, you did." So this whole time, I'm like, they're lying. They're trying to gas me up. So I walk over there. I look at the list. Number 13, Dundeli Jadab. And I was like, "Huh?" Yeah. So I got accepted to the soccer class. So I made it in, and then the first day, the coach is telling me, he's like, "Hey man, we put you on the team because we see that you have potential, but obviously maybe because I was always fast, but I had no touch, I had no passing skills, I didn't know soccer rules." And he was like, "Yeah, but you're still gonna have to make the team when trials come. We'll let you stay in the class, but if you can't make the team, then we're gonna send you back to PE." So even here, I'm still being threatened to get sent back to PE. I was like, I mean, I guess. So training started, and I'm like very competitive. There's nothing that I hate more than being like the worst. I'm always trying to be the top 10 or top one. Right. So whatever I learned, I'd go home and look on YouTube, and there was no videos. I remember there's a YouTuber, Sohail Var. That's literally back then when we were really young. He's the only guy that made videos. And then I was watching his videos, his little. That was all I had, right? So I would look at those videos, training, training, training. We'd have training, and then I ask my classmates, like, "Hey, y'all trying to train after school?" And then they'll be like, why are you training after school? We already training in the morning." So I just understood that, oh, okay, I guess once you're good enough, one training session a day is good enough. So while everybody went home and did whatever, my mom would drop me off at the school, or I'd ask her, "Hey, let's go to the track so I can play on the soccer field." I train. I train. I train. If I couldn't go to the field, I'd be in the backyard hitting the wall. I didn't even know how to train. So I just spent like hours out there just trying to be like, maybe this would work. Maybe this would work. Yeah. So trials finally came and I made the team, right? And even then, the first game comes, the coach doesn't play me at all. He's just like, and we lost. We lost pretty bad. And he came a couple minutes. He's like, "Hey, I know you may be upset that you didn't play at all." I was slightly upset, but not much because I knew like everybody knew the game. I was just there. I was just more like salty for inconveniences. Why make me get on the bus, come all the way here, just so I can just. But anyways, I was like, it's okay. So the next game comes 1 week later, and some defensive mid. He's playing. He wasn't playing good. So the coach called. They were calling me JD for short because he couldn't say my name. He's like, JD. I was like, yes sir. Come here. Coach Toshner, rest in peace. But he was like, do you know how to play defensive mid? I was like, what is that? And he had this like, and he's like, wow, you see that guy over there? I was like, yes. He's like, just go there and don't let anybody score. I was like, I got it. So mind you, my team, my JV team, they haven't won a game in 9 years. They're always losing every game. So I go in and I don't know how to play. I just know don't let anybody score. So anybody who had the ball coming towards me, I'm just like pressuring them like crazy because I was like, okay, just don't let anybody score. Game ends. We tied 0-0. And my team is like championshiping me, like picking me up, celebrating. I'm like, why is everybody so happy? They're like, we haven't lost. This is the first time we haven't lost. And then like they knew like I made the impact. And ever since then, I started every game sophomore year. Sophomore year, I remember the last semester, the last month of my sophomore year, one of the guys on varsity, because we all sit on the soccer team, kind of sits on the same lunch. He was like, hey man, I know you made JV, but like, honestly, you're not good enough to make varsity. So it was cool you made JV, but you're not good enough to make varsity. Man, I'm glad he told me that because the impact of that message that he told me, I mean, some people will feel like discouraged. Dang, I was pissed off. I was like, huh? You're gonna disrespect me like that? You think, is that what you think? Is that what you believe? So, that summer, I remember I trained so hard. I would train every single day, multiple times because like I didn't want to get cut. Right? I was like, nah, I'm gonna make this team. I'm gonna make this team. And that's when I'm looking at YouTube videos. And then I end up finding Become Elite, Matt Sheldon, some of his videos. And then I started getting a sense of what I'm supposed to be doing. Right? I didn't know how to train, but now I'm slowly getting to a wave of a structure. What's working? What's not working? I used to go shoot free kicks all the time. I'm a defensive mid. I've never taken a free kick till this day. 10 years later, I've still never taken a free kick in a game. So like, why did I spend all that time doing free kicks for? So I got to the point where I didn't do free kicks anymore. I'm doing different drills, passing the off the wall, juggling to myself, doing tricks, just things that would help me. Varsity comes. I'm in the class, varsity class. I'm working hard again. Training the daytime, train at 7 a.m. When I get home, I'd kick the ball around and then do homework and things like that. So my mind was on that varsity. And the cool thing is, training every day in the morning with all the varsity guys, I got so much better because like they're like playing with the JV guys was so much different than playing with the varsity guys. I remember the first time I was like, wow, this is really cool. These guys are so good. And like I would just work hard, right? And as time went on, I didn't even notice it, but I was starting to catch on. In my head, dang, I'm really trash. But I kept pushing, and then trials came, and the next day, look, I was still feeling down. Like I was in such a negative mindset that I was like, man, I probably didn't even make the varsity team. Like I don't care if I just make like the cameraman. At least let me stay and train. I made the team, and the cool part was I started every single game, and I'm like, if you look at me on the field, I look more like bulky and more physique. So there's a lot of time where players are afraid to press me. So in varsity games, they would pass me the ball. In my head, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm about to make a mistake. That's one thing I would always tell myself. Oh, I hope I don't make a mistake. I hope I don't make a mistake. But later on, I learned that you're not supposed to think that way. But back then, nobody was there to tell me. So that's how I was thinking. I was thinking like, don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake. And people will fake pressure me, right? A kid will see me with the ball. He'll be like this. Like they won't actually pressure me. And I was like, I guess, and I'll just give it away. And then if you look at my varsity career, it almost looked like I never lost the ball, but it was because players just were afraid of me. High school guys. Yeah. So I was like, even the smallest guys, because back in JV, the smallest guys would take the ball away from me. But when I got to varsity, they're like, oh man, that guy's on varsity. That guy's swole. Swole. Like, I mean, I guess. So that was the first that season we played varsity was the first time my Klein Collins, my high school, we made it to playoffs, second round of playoffs, and it was the best feeling ever. Like the whole district knew, like, oh my goodness, Klein Collins has never made it to playoffs. We beat the first team, we made it to second round of playoffs, and it was big news. The team hasn't been in playoffs in like 13 years, and we were the first group. And I fell in love with the game. My play Once we lost playoffs, my teammates were crying their eyes out. Like I wasn't crying, but I felt hurt. I was like, man, we almost made it to state, right? Like this is my second year playing soccer. I was like, I love this. It's way better than pole vaulting because in track you're on your own, and you're literally competing against the people you eat with every day, right? You'd wake up and then like when contests come, like people will be snakes, but during the game on the soccer team, everybody's like together. So I love that feeling. And ever since then, like I kept going.